Okay, it's live streaming on YouTube now. And I made you host again.
Thanks again.
All right,
Much
take care.
appreciated. Take care. See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, 10 o'clock, October 6th, 2025. Time for our weekly status conference in the matter of Melody Ranch. That's case number 25-00054. And very happy to see everybody again. Hope that all of you were able to have a restful weekend. Um, there is something I just want to mention at the outset of our meeting that we can discuss at the end of our updates, which is a bit of scheduling matters. We're coming up to the maybe end of our original 6-week outlook for our status conferences. So, and then also next Monday is a holiday, the 13th. So I just want to touch on that at the end of the updates so we can all coordinate there. But with that being said, I think maybe we can just go get right into it and hear what's happening. And Mr. Domenici, would you like to go first and share any of your updates?
Well, I have Tracy here, and our, I'll just let her give a quick update. We've just been visiting, but she can just explain
Sure.
what's taking place.
Thank you.
Um,
Good morning, Ms. Padilla.
Good morning. Pretty much the well is producing at the same rate. It is at this schedule we're on, the tank is filling each time. So the demand is lessening with our ability to refill. So it's getting more and more each time, a little bit each day. So we're hoping to increase if demand can just kind of level out, where everyone's getting 2,000 instead of some getting 100 and some getting 10,000, for example. If everyone can, I feel good if everyone could, stay to the 3,000. I think we will be able to keep up with that type of demand, keeping our tank at the level that gives the good pressure and everything, because that's the other half of that factor. So it's looking better, that we're going to be able to maintain that for a while. Um, the other factor is what were we talking about?
Well, if you could increase it.
Yeah, and if if it gets to the point we can increase the hours, we'll definitely do so. Right now we're missing one day, but that's part of helping it with fill, and so we're hoping to get all days on some hours and then increase those hours per day. If the demand can kind of level out, and we're seeing that slowly. We are seeing that. I think the highest this last month, someone was at 8,000 was the highest usage. So we're talking to people and trying to get people, to just regular conservative usage. The other part is we did kind of reach out and ask. We sent a letter out last Tuesday and asked for emails so we can also communicate that way. And for the hours they would prefer. And we're really getting split times. Some people want during the days because they're retired, by nighttime they're in bed early. And then we have those people that work all day and then want it at nighttime. And so that's why the schedule has been some at days, some at night time, because we're trying to accommodate for everybody. And so we did ask for, is there consensus? I think it was John was with me when we were leaving that public hearing. A couple of the customers asked if we could just do the same time every day, And so I said, we would try. And we're still finding it a hard time with everyone coming together on the same hours each day. because of just different needs and different lifestyles, etc. But we're still working on that and gathering more information, and we'll continue to do so. And then what we continue to do is mailing something out. I had gotten a mailing the Tuesday prior, so I just continued with Tuesday, getting a mailing out every Tuesday. So we did another mailing, and we also attached the previous PRC's summation of that week and so forth. So I'll continue to do that each Tuesday, send out a mailing, attach what you guys, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty much, I haven't heard from EMWT if they needing anything else, and that's kind of where we stand.
Okay, I do have some thoughts here and some questions, but just before we get into more updates, tell me just a little bit more about the first details you were providing about the well, and can you just put that sort of in context and tell me what that means? You said that the well is producing more and you have a storage tank. I mean, is the storage tank now more full, and what percentage is it? And just tell me what this like sort of means for the customers.
Okay, it's not producing more. It's just it's the supply demand thing that we're dealing with. And so if there's more demand, then that 4 to 5 gallons per minute can fill. If that level of the tank gets close to the middle or less, then you start getting lower pressure. And it's harder to keep up with that demand and get that supply back up. So once we hit that middle mark of the tank, if we can get above that, and the further above that we can get, the longer we can stay open if we can keep demand low.
Right.
But it helps us keep that supply if we're above that, and the pressure is higher.
I
And then
understand.
therefore we could keep open longer hours
Right.
if that
Okay.
tank can really remain at the higher levels. And
Sure.
with this system we've kind of built, we're trying to give as much as we can while slowly building that tank level so we can increase, and so we can, for anything I can expect, to be a little prepared.
That's helpful. Thank you. So I want to just focus here on this tank level. Is the tank level, are you seeing that steadily increase? The
Yes,
tank level?
yes.
And at what percentage are you seeing that at in the last like 2 weeks average?
And so the way we're measuring it is my guy who goes and turns it on and off each day, he's he's saying, okay, I had it on, and when he turns off, here's the level. And then when it fills, and then when he goes and turns off, or etc.,
Right.
he'll measure the level. And so each day, and so he's manually doing it, but he's marking it, because there are
Okay.
marks on the tank. And so it's either half full, 3/4, above the 3/4 mark, etc., etc.
Okay.
And so manually he's just marking that each day. And so
Okay,
he's
let's kind of get that detail for next time, because I think it's just important for the commission and us to know about where that tank level is resting, and what's developments or how that's evolving over time,
okay.
with seasons, with demand, with some of the ideas that you have around organizing times with your customers and the community and things like that. So let's just kind of focus on that and start having that as part of our updates. That's, I think, something that could be really helpful. The next thing I wanted to ask is, and I'm not a water engineer, but just out of curiosity, if the water availability is constrained to certain hours or certain windows during the day, will that not have a negative effect on pressure or availability if everybody is using at the same time?
Now, I mean, the system is built for everybody to use at the same time. I'm not quite sure what the question is, or even how to answer it.
As long as the tank has the pressure.
Okay,
You
well,
know,
maybe we don't have, maybe Mr. Whitney might be able to
yeah,
help.
I'm not
We could
a,
get some engineering help, but
Maybe
I
I'm not a
just
well
wanted,
expert either, sorry.
okay,
So I know, it has to do with that. The pressure has to do with the level of the tank,
right,
although we have pumps that help with that pressure too.
sure,
Because before we've experimented with the gravity versus the
right,
pump
right.
fed, etc. But it all plays a part. But I don't know the
Sure.
exact answer to the question. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. I think the point of my question was just again, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the ratepayers and the community. I'm also putting myself in the shoes uh of you as well. And I'm putting myself in the shoes of the commissioners and the shoes of our staff here. So I'm trying just to think through,
Right.
a lot of these threads that are coming to bear and just want to ask questions kind of on everybody's behalf and
I
kind of
understand.
preview things. Now, I might not be the smartest questions, or they might not be the most technically informed questions, but again, I'm just want to give voice to what I think might be on people's minds.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I do want to ask about before we switch over to staff's updates is, have you had any contact outreach to emergency services, as we discussed last week? That is such a high priority. And I was hoping that maybe you would have some news for us about funds that could be available to purchase water on behalf of the community. And do you have any news there?
Um, I I again wasn't aware. I was reaching out to emergency services. Um, I
Okay, so that's okay.
I know
We'll just
people discussed in different manners. I wasn't able ever to confirm or respond. So it wasn't clear to me that because I have from the very beginning, I went to Torrance County and to the state. I was on the phone with Samantha from the Torrance County. She's the Torrance County emergency manager. Asking for anything and everything, right, right from the beginning. And was in contact with them constantly. And nothing ever came through. So I'm not sure what avenue I need to take because I had gone to, several different people initially.
sure.
So I'm not sure which way to go. I would need more
That's
advice
okay.
on which.
Yeah, I'll reiterate. And I think it is in our best interests, everybody's best interest, to follow up on this right away, Ms. Padilla, and I would just maybe also ask you to coordinate with staff. Maybe staff has done something. We'll hear their updates in a second. But the idea is to reach out to several agencies. That could be Department of Homeland Security, Emergency Management here at the state. It could be the governor's office. It could be Department of Finance and Administration. That could be their local government department or division, local government division. It could also be the State Board of Finance. They also have funds for emergency situations. Now, I don't know, all the particulars around the approvals and the process, but I think that's something that uh, could be followed up on and could provide water in the interim to fill the tank. And while these other long and midterm range projects are getting sorted out. So let me just ask if you have any questions or thoughts about that before we move on, because it's just really important and I don't want anything to be lost in translation, so to speak, or
Right.
yeah,
I completely understand. And again, I felt like on the onset of all of this, I tried every avenue and everyone promises to help and I got no help. Um, and so I felt like I did do this right from the onset. So if you tell me who to contact or who to
sure,
go through, who can help, I definitely
right,
will reach out. Because that's what I did from the very beginning. And then,
sure,
we got what we got. So, the city of Albuquerque, ABCUWA, whatever it is,
right, right.
they were very helpful there, for a minute. So there were people, but again, all these other agencies said they would and didn't, nothing
Okay,
came
no
through. So
worries,
if
no
you tell
worries.
me where to go, who to call, I would definitely will.
Yeah, I think just to also reframe everything here. We're really in a constructive phase of this circumstance. We want to find ways to restore service or supplement service as fast as possible, both on the short term and the midterm and the long term. So we're not going to worry about things that leads that may not have followed up or that went dry or cold in the past. We really want to just continue to think about how to build and rebuild. So the other thing I'll say is that there's no wrong question or anything in this constructive phase. So Ms. Padilla or staff or anybody that has a question about what is going on or what may be needed, please feel free to express it, because the more we communicate, the more we understand where each other is coming from, I think the faster service will be restored. Okay, so yeah, please, Ms. Padilla, follow up on that as soon as possible. I would recommend coordinating with staff. Not hearing their updates yet. They might have already have some thoughts on this. But in any case, thank you. Thank you for your updates. Oh, one other thing, Ms. Padilla, have you thought about when it might be advisable for another public hearing, or not public meeting, not hearing?
And, again, the question is, a location,
Right.
and then, with the capability of the Zoom, so if there's a location, anytime,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it. This time I would like to, the week before, be able to put it in a letter for the next week.
Sure.
We have a little more time
Sure.
than the time I gave them last time. Other than that, just anytime if we want to continue once a month, I would like to be able to give them more information for sure, and
Sure.
not just still kind of be not knowing things. So, but I'd be willing to anytime.
Okay, great. So I'll also say, just before we transition to staff updates, is that I'm sure there are several or many members of the Melody Ranch community watching or listening today. And what I also think is valuable about that participation is the ability of the community members to suggest ideas and also participate in this restoration of service, or water quality, or water volume, or any of the matters that are of concern to the community. So sometimes I or the commission gets communications directly. I'm just mediating here. So please send your thoughts and ideas to staff and to Melody Ranch. That'll be the best way for your voices to be heard. Melody Ranch is also working with staff, not only just for these public meetings, but Mr. Begacco has described earlier how he is in communication with many members of the community there. So if anybody has any thoughts, please just share them directly with Melody Ranch and staff. And I think that'll be the best way for your voice and ideas to be heard and taken into account as we work to restore the service. Okay, Mr. Begacco, good morning. Nice to see you, and the floor is yours.
Good morning. Regarding the main goal, primary goal that occupies us, the restoration of water service via the collaboration of EMWT and NMED, I understand that it's in process. I try not to bother them too much, but I do inquire of them, I think, often enough to understand that it really is in process. They're doing their work to kit out and support the application that they're going to make and everything else that they need to do to hopefully get this thing going economically and technically. And to that end, I appreciate the letter of intent that was circulated by Melody Ranch last week, which I filed into the record with a notice of filing. And I also reference in the status report that was filed on Thursday. So that is encouraging, and that is a significant commitment on their part. So I thank them for that. So to sum it up then, the theme right now on that front is in process. So that plate is spinning, and I'm keeping an eye on it and doing whatever I have to do to help it or facilitate it if asked. And so I stand ready to do that. In the meantime, my direction and focus is also shifted over to interim solutions, which you've touched on in the preceding minutes in today's meeting. To that end, it's a lot easier said than done, unfortunately. One of the themes I keep running into is the anti-donation prohibition and how
Right.
people view that as an obstacle that defeats getting an interim solution funded. I am working on that
Yeah.
with various people that I've sent inquiries to. And I'm trying to also deal with and tackle the issue of, I don't know, the hierarchies that are a primary feature of state agencies and state government, meaning you have to hopefully get in touch with somebody as quickly as possible who is in more of a posture to make meaningful decisions or to take other actions that actually result in something instead of it just getting passed up the chain.
Right.
And I think maybe I have made contact with the appropriate level of a certain organ of government. I do not want to say anything specific now because I do not want to chill the
Absolutely.
work and I don't want to scare anybody off. Not to say that they're scared, but
Right.
it's delicate. And
Sure.
trying to puzzle and piece together a solution for enhancing the interim provision of water services it's not easy. I've seen some emails from members of the community to state government suggesting and requesting the exact things that we're talking about now. And I appreciate those emails. They go out and I see them, and I think that's just more information that's going in the same direction that I'm directing some of my inquiries to. And I'm hoping that it makes an impression and that we can actually get some movement, because I have some ideas about how to make people feel good about hopefully doing something that doesn't run afoul of what they view as a monolithic prohibition against providing aid in the form of the anti-donation clause. And I think there are different ways we can be hopefully creative about in terms of structuring the provision of that kind of assistance that doesn't run afoul of it and still gets aid to the community. But getting people to buy into it and to understand it and getting their attorneys to do the same as well is difficult because they're also very busy with a lot of other things. But I'm trying to make as strong of an impression as I can without making people want to start hating on me or put me in front of a firing squad for being such a pain in the you know what. So it's a delicate balance and it's a delicate approach, but I am vigorously pursuing it. And I've talked to some people and I've got them on hold while I talk to the other people. It's kind of like we were very fortunate to have the commiseration and cooperation that's developed in this case as between NMED subject matter experts and EMWT subject matter experts. So the nexus of that work is that's, I think, the model for hopefully how to solve problems like this. Now I'm trying to take that template of cooperative problem solving and hopefully get it to take on with some of these other people and just see what we can do. So I wish I had more to report, something more concrete or specific to say, but at this point I do not, but I'm working on it.
Well, Mr. Begacco, I couldn't think more highly of the efforts that you've given in this case so far, and I don't know if I think that your efforts really deserve significant recognition. And I say this not just for all of us on the call today, but also for members of Melody Ranch that may be listening or watching, that Mr. Begacco sometimes uses an image of plates spinning in the air. And I want to really emphasize that there are many plates that need to be spun in unison at the same time in order to restore this service. And the efforts that he has been giving with respect to coordinating not only with the members of the Melody Ranch community, but Melody Ranch itself, and then some of the state agencies that he just mentioned has been significant. So I really want to recognize those efforts and also highlight those efforts, because I think, as you might have been saying just a few moments ago, sometimes it's not always clear how all these things fit together. It's not always clear how they need to fit together and the timing of things fitting together, whether that's with the state engineer or the environment department or funding sources that you've been working with. So I just want to say, for the record, so to speak, that a lot of this progress would not have been possible without you and your team, Mr. Whitney, Ms. DeShino, and others. So thank you so much for keeping these channels and this bridge under construction.
Thank you for that. I don't really need any recognition, but the staff, I always want to give it to them. And really, all I think I need right now is probably like a football helmet or an Evel Knievel style motorcycle helmet, because running into walls and trying to get around walls is like, I think I'm concussed right now with having to deal with some of this stuff, but I'm not going to give up. And
Sure.
I appreciate all the information that the community members send me and keep me looped in on. And I'm going to get back on it as soon as we get off this meeting and see where we stand with some of the leads, hopefully, that might be developing. I'm going to stay positive and optimistic about it. I appreciate your kind words, and that's all I have for now. I wish I had more to say, but
No, that's
like I
okay.
said,
I
in
mean,
process.
yeah, these things sometimes take a moment to get everybody together and like you said, rowing in the same direction. So we'll have to just continue to lean into it and take our achievements as they come. Okay, so thank you for that, everybody. I don't know if there's any other thoughts or comments before I share some of my final thoughts for this week. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and kind of wrap up here. First of all, let's, Ms. Padilla, and as I mentioned earlier, let's really try to find some interim water by hook or by crook, or however and wherever that may come from. I think that would be another great development in our efforts here. Now, I did want to speak briefly about our schedule going forward. I'm planning to shift the October 13th hearing till Tuesday, the 14th. I don't know if anybody has any strong thoughts about that or any issues with moving it from Monday to Tuesday. Okay, well, I'll do that. I'll move that to, go ahead.
I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Are you
thank you,
okay,
Mr.
Pete?
Padilla.
That's good
Okay.
for me.
Okay, great. So we'll just do it Tuesday at the same time. And then on the 20th, I have to take some leave for a personal matter. So I think we will not have a hearing on the 20th, but we'll resume on the 27th. Now, at that time, we also need to be thinking in the next couple of weeks about the regularity of these status conferences and their helpfulness. They might continue to be brief for the next couple of weeks as things happen, or we might want to do them every 2 weeks. Just let's think staff and Melody Ranch, and we can touch on this on the 14th, how we want to continue. But the goal was in the beginning to start out with 6 weeks of weekly meetings to really get things organized, to get us familiar with each other, to get us familiar with how we work together, and also, most importantly, to keep the community members of Melody Ranch updated so they know what to expect and what's been happening on their behalf. So that's all I have really for today. I just want to express again the thanks to everybody who's involved in this, and that includes the community members of Melody Ranch and their sharing of their ideas and suggestions, and the work that everybody has been doing to restore service as quickly as possible. Will also say again that this is moving very fast. I know for the members of the community, it doesn't maybe always feel that way, but to coordinate so broadly and detailedly with the state agencies to get where we are, I think is positive. So we'll continue to work on that and just again express my appreciation. Anything else before we wrap up? Any final thoughts?
Nothing further. Thank you very much, Mr. Hearing Examiner, and everybody else on the call.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bagatko. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you on the 14th.